What if I told you that glamour had nothing to do with fashion, beauty, or makeup, and it had everything to do with a dark age fear of people who knew how to read? Because that's exactly where glamour comes from. The word glamour is an 18th century Scottish mutation of the word grammar. Now, back then, literacy was so rare, illiterate masses assumed that anyone who could read was considered to be dabbling in the dark arts. During that time, if you were smart, you were a witch. Within Scottish folklore, a glamour, Glamer, was a literal optical illusion or blindfold spell cast by witches or fey creatures to make something mundane look magical. Glamour magic has historically been used by those without systemic power. It's actually been something that's been used knowingly and unknowingly as a form of political resistance and as a form of survival. For example, let's talk about ballroom culture, especially in the 1980s and the 1990s. Now, during this time, queer individuals were facing homelessness, the AIDS crisis, systemic poverty, and rampant street violence. In these conditions, glamour was not just about aesthetic. Now, in standard occult practices, glamour is a spell. Glamour magic is a spell intended to alter the observer's perception, making the observer see whatever it is the practitioner wants them to see. Now, this isn't just restricted to beauty or confidence. In ballroom, the ultimate standard of execution in all categories would have been realness. And in order to achieve realness, you would have to perfectly embody a specific archetype, such as a corporate executive, a college student, a military officer, or even a high society housewife. Realness is a literal illusion cast to deceive a hostile cis hetero world. Drag is quite literally a form of glamour magic, and even sympathetic magic too, by perfectly mirroring the image of white, wealthy, cis, heteronormative society. Queer, Black, and Latino individuals used clothing like an invisibility cloak to navigate these hostile environments. So let's get into a little German history, shall we? Marlene Dietrich. I feel like if I said it in German, it would be Marlene Dietrich. Okay, something like that. I'm working on my accent, okay? So Marlene was a queer individual navigating the complex reality of the Nazi regime of World War II. And she used her hyper-stylized and gender-bending glamour not just for artistic purposes, but as a literal psychological warfare tool against the Nazi regime, while also entertaining Allied troops. And one of the ways that she did this is by packaging anti-fascist messaging into her art, particularly music, that she would sing in her native German language, which cultivated a homesickness as well as disillusionment within German troops, systematically shattering their morale. That's a form of glamour because she was altering the Germans' perception of the Nazi regime without them even knowing that she was doing it. They just thought they were listening to beautiful German music. It's interesting how art and music could be forms of glamour too. Another example I want to bring up are the Black Panthers. The intentional uniform usage of black leather jackets, afros, and dark sunglasses was a collectively engineered aesthetic specifically designed to project absolute authority, militancy, and unshakable pride to counter the media's attempt to dehumanize them, to discredit them. And it worked. So let's get into some examples of when glamour magic was quite literally used as a form of political resistance. During the Nazi occupation of France amidst World War II, local practitioners of folk magic would carry pocket compact mirrors, or even place them in their windows, in order to cast an unnoticeability glamour, creating a cognitive blind spot in the passing soldiers. Is that not interesting? Now listen to this. While Marlene Dietrich was doing psychological warfare against the Nazi regime, a group of occultists in America gathered in a cabin in Washington, D.C. to perform a ritual specifically designed to shatter the psychological mystique of the Nazi leadership. What they did is they created a life-size effigy of Hitler himself. They dressed it in a mock Nazi uniform, and they beat ceremonial drums to enter a state of trance. Then they used a ritual incantation to tie Hitler's spiritual essence to the doll. This was actually a publicly performed counter-propaganda ritual by treating the seemingly unstoppable dictator as a pathetic, bound entity subject to the will of a few people in a small cabin. They were attacking the perception of Nazi invincibility. Now, throughout other authoritarian regimes throughout South America and Eastern Europe, underground resistance members practicing localized folk magic would create glamour sigils. They would draw these sigils using spit, oil, or water on the inside linings of their coat, the soles of their shoes, or even behind their ears, before carrying illegal anti-regime literature or weapons. These sigils aimed to distort the perception of authority figures. The effect of this glamour was meant to project an energetic aura of total compliance. So when they were searched or questioned, these sigils were intended to confuse the guard's senses, which would make the resistance member appear completely innocent, submissive, and invisible to suspicion. Some of the psychology around glamour magic is a bit interesting. There's a term called the halo effect. And what the halo effect is a socialized belief that makes us assume that someone who looks attractive or put together possesses high moral character and intelligence. With that notion, you could intentionally alter the perception of others by investing into your beauty or investing into how you look. There is also a term called enclothed cognition. And enclothed cognition, I have such a hard time saying that, like try saying that 5 times fast. Enclothed cognition is an observed phenomena where our outward appearance, our clothes specifically, change our psychological processes as well as our performance capabilities. That's another glamour spell. So both the halo effect and enclothed cognition are types of like placebo, where when you believe in something or you believe something, it can influence an outcome. But typically, focused intent backed with repeated action creates new pathways in your brain. The more you wear a specific fit or article of clothing with a very pointed intention in mind, and you wear it repeatedly with that intention, you are changing yourself on a neurological level. In this way, magic is a tool of psychology. In this way, magic can rewire your brain. In this way, magic changes us. So if you decide to engage with glamour magic, just know that you're not just changing others' perception for a little while, you are actually changing yourself over time.